where we're getting close. We're getting close. And as you can tell, I've got the full panel of experts here. Tony Finn, Rob Vino, Ski Profit, the men who are going to make you some money on this NBA season. And Tony, I was joking before the show that, a little early to start coming out with NBA picks, but hey, you're trying to be the early bird here. You're selling a pick today on the package. Tell us about what you got brewing here for our NBA clients.
I haven't been paid since February. So shit. So we're gonna throw something up there, and as I said off air, takes that I'm certain once before all of us die, we will be embarrassed by at some point. I said I'm going to title it. I'm not going to say it, but it's going to be under Ski Profit. It'll be Ski Profit's NBA second chance. Grab bag, wing, ding, something like that. But I'm excited about this play.
Ski, I'll give you the floor after that. Dig there.
It's great to see Tony again. Great to be back with you guys. I don't have a pick yet up, but I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah, Rob, it's going to be exciting. I think, the big news that we'll get to right off the top, I guess, is the J.R. Smith news. It actually just broke about 10 minutes ago. The official word, we kind of knew that it was going to happen, but the official word that he responded back to the Lakers offer, and they're going to be able to tie the knot there. And obviously I'm curious about Ski's thoughts about this as well, but Rob, I'll give you the floor first. What does the J.R. Smith news mean for this Lakers team? Avery Bradley, to me, was a key piece, and he's going to kind of be the replacement there. Do you think J.R. can fill the void?
Well, I think going back to what we talked about last week, Jared, when we were comparing the Lakers and the Clippers, when I was going through 8-man rotations, I thought that we were talking about Lou Williams, as a matter of fact, at the time, what the subtraction of Lou might mean. And it would probably, downsize LA's scoring ability off the bench to 2 men. And the Lakers off the bench really are about 2 men as well. You add J.R. Smith to that mix, and maybe the bench scoring ability now for the Lakers becomes a little bit better. I would expect that, Alex Caruso does a lot of the work that Avery Bradley was doing previously. So J.R. Smith, in my estimation, can be used solely as a scoring option off the bench to go back a little ways. I mean, Vinnie Johnson for the Pistons. There's teams that always have these types of guys. And, JR is one of those guys that can shoot you into a victory or he could shoot you into a loss. We'll see how it goes.
Ski, I'm fascinated your take here. They hung the Clippers actually as a slim favorite. And, depending on which book you're at, it might be a pick 'em or it might be a flip. But are you surprised Lakers Clippers right out of the gate as a pick 'em, considering the Lakers still slight favorites to win the West?
No, I'm not surprised at all. And right now, if I think about it, the first games for LeBron, I don't think he's usually that great. I might be wrong, but we'll see how that pans out. I don't like at all that we lost Avery Bradley, big part of the team, really great defender. I don't think any defender matches him, but I think the guy who steps up for the Lakers would be KCP. He was pretty poor to start the year, but then he turned it on and he was saving the Lakers quite a bit. He's capable on the defensive end. He can score. So I think KCP is the one who steps up. And on that first game, it's tough. Is Lou Will in?
I think that'll be what tips the line in one direction. My guess is if Lou Williams stays, that line probably stays as a pick'em. If Lou Will opts out, I'm assuming the Lakers would probably get moved to the favorite very, very quickly. I think some of the uncertainty, Tony, with this Lakers lineup is probably why that the Clippers opened as the fave. I understand the neutral court, but let's just say this game was being played at Staples Center. Obviously, there's really no definitive home court edge, but I think I would be shocked if it was a Lakers-Clippers game, regardless of who was home, the official home team, and the Lakers wouldn't at least get the initial lean. Let's say the two started a 7-game series, and the Lakers get the initial lean as favorites. And I know 1 point's not much, but it is still slightly, leaning to one side.
Yeah, it's, again, as we spoke to last week, a lot of what happens during this second season, this 8-game close to the 2020-21 2019-20 regular season is, do the Lakers have something to play for? In truth, guys, if you're in the one position as the Lakers are with a 6-game lead, what are you playing for? What are you playing for? Because it's really the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. They can maneuver. They can, if they say, hey, listen, we would rather face Kuzma and Waiters. We'd rather face our Lakers backup team than we would the Lakers. And I'm just throwing something out there, but in truth, if the 2 wants to move to a 3 or the 3 wants to move to a 4, they have the ability to throw the towel in on a game, fix a game, call it what you want to call it. But the Lakers don't have that option. They are the 1 seed. They are going to play the 8th seed. Am I right? Where the 2, 3, 4, these teams actually, if you have a crystal ball or if you have vision like Ski Prophet, you can read some of this stuff and say, hey, listen. Again, we talked about it. If there's one team that can lose somebody of the 22 that are going to be playing for those slots, those playoff slots, it is the Clippers, and I'll stay about it. I think this game. I truly think, with or without the 6th man of the year candidate every single year, I think the Clippers will be a field goal.
Yeah,
favorite.
and that's it is an interesting opening line. I think it does speak to the uncertainty of where we're at with these rosters. Rob, just to restack the deck here, I'll get your thoughts on this. So Lakers 5.5 clear. They're 6 in the loss column, clear the Clippers. Tony's 100% right. It would take some kind of an act of God, a 7-1, 1-7 swing in order for that to flip-flop. So you can pretty much bank the Lakers as the 1. Clippers, Nuggets, Jazz, all separated by about 3 games. So on the flip side of that, if the Clippers want to avoid falling back to a 4 spot, having to face the Lakers in round 2 instead of the finals, the West Finals, then they need to probably go at least 500, you would think. So motivation, I agree with Tony. I would say early on, the Clippers should have the motivational edge.
Yeah, 2 through 7 are separated by 4 wins, 44 down to 40, right? So everybody can jockey for position if that's what they really want. If you want to avoid that bracket, that includes the Lakers, then, you want to play yourself into the Clippers bracket. I don't know which would be more favorable, guys. I don't think anybody's going to play their way into one or out of one because they'd rather face the Lakers or the Clippers. To Tony's point about, the Lakers and their motivation and whatnot, under normal circumstances, there would be no motivation. I think Ski came up with the one source of motivation a couple of weeks ago when he said they're playing for cohesiveness. And you have to get your team ready in this 8-game stretch. Normally, under these circumstances in a regular season, we would see coaches benching their starters, don't want them to get hurt. There's guys that are going to have their insurance policies run out and are still going to play hard here in these playoffs. I think the insurance for guys in a contract year or in an opt-in or opt-out year runs out at the end of the regular NBA season. It's gone, but we see guys, notable guys in that situation that are going to play hard. So cohesiveness and, that stands for all 22 of these teams. Who knows? Foreign rims to all these squads. I know they'll get 3 weeks worth of practice, but who knows what an actual game might look like here when we get down to it on July the 30th. That's the only thing you can come up with the Lakers as motivation, and it certainly is different than what we see in a normal type season.
Ski, let's go from the top of the West to the bottom of the West. Obviously, that's where the fascinating yes-no playoff scenarios kind of filter in. I think it was 2 weeks ago you said you loved the Pelicans in that spot. I've seen some action on their yes down here in the East Coast books. It's gone from plus 360. I'm seeing now plus 290 on FanDuel. So I agree with you. I do think the Pelicans at that price, 3-1, that means you're assuming about 33% of the time that they're going to make the playoffs. I could see that happening in 50% of scenarios, especially considering they get some early games against the teams in front of them. Handicap the bottom of this Western Conference. Do you still think the Pelicans are the team that's going to emerge there in that 8 spot?
Yes, I do. And I think the reason that the odds change is because people are expecting Portland to do less, and I expect Portland to do less because they're not going to have Trevor Ariza. without Trevor Ariza, I mean, I like Pelicans a whole lot more. I'm not sold on the Grizzlies. We've talked about the Grizzlies
Yeah.
quite a bit. They don't have great shooting ability, and we talked about the Pelicans playing defense on the perimeter really good. So I think they're a young squad. Everybody wants to see Zion in the playoffs. They have a very favorable schedule. They can match up really well. I like that plus 290 is probably my best yes bet.
Tony, I think when it comes to those teams at the bottom, I'm looking at this New Orleans schedule right now. Utah, then the Clippers, Memphis, couple of days off. Then they get Sacramento and Washington right in the middle there. Then another game against the Spurs, another game against the Kings, game against the Magic when they could be already clinched for that 8 seed, the last game. I mean, skis right on. I mean, this is the easiest schedule, I think, other than maybe the Sixers in terms of the numbers. And New Orleans has the talent. I mean, goodness gracious, even you take Zion out, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Favor. I mean, this is a team with an absolute boatload of talent, and you're getting a pretty fat number on them to make the postseason.
If we were playing straight up handicapping, straight up basketball, and we were issuing touts and recommendations to our clients under the circumstances, you surely have to like the Pelicans. I think you're going to find the Pelicans are going to get a little more. I truly believe there's going to lack some value because of that schedule playing the Pelicans. Look at the Lakers schedule. The Lakers. This is all about matchups. In the NBA, I still think it's a big percentage of my handicap comes to matchups. The Minnesota Lakers may not be as good. They may not be as good with Wilt as the LA Lakers were with Kareem. However, I still would like the match, on paper and record and et cetera, et cetera. But I think this Lakers team, without Bradley, is going to struggle against smaller lineups. They really, I mean, if you think about the fact that Caldwell Pope, I think, and Ski would probably correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think he was a common wing about 75% of the time, and that was with Green and Caruso and Bradley when they went small. And I don't think there's going to be one game where the Lakers, save the Clippers, are going to be a dog, despite the fact that I don't think they really care about covering or winning. My thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think that makes the Western Conference a very intriguing race. I don't think we have the same situation in the East, Rob. I really think the East is a virtual crapshoot. And I know the Bucks right now are being priced like the filet mignon, but I think it might be a little bit expired. I don't see the value with laying almost $2 worth of juice for the Bucks, an unproven Bucks team, to win the East when you've got coaches and deep lineups like the Celtics and the Raptors and the Heat and the Sixers even, not as much them. I would say the top three first. Very deep, very well coached, and very, very underrated in the market. 7-1, 8-1, 9-1 for those three teams to win the Eastern Conference. Are you? Has anything in the last week since we last spoke? Because I think the consensus for us is that we do feel as a group that the Bucks are relatively overpriced. Has anything in the last week changed your thinking there?
Yeah, and I'm going to backtrack just a second here, Jared, and then I'll get to the East. But I just want to throw out some numbers, what it would require. And believe me, I'm as much on New Orleans as anybody. Okay. But here's what it takes, guys. They're 3.5 games behind Memphis right now. So they have to be 4 games better than them over this 8-game stretch, meaning New Orleans has to go 6-2, Memphis has to go 2-6. Do you believe that Memphis can win 3 games? We already talked about how easy the New Orleans schedule is. The NBA wants Zion in the playoffs. Yeah. That schedule was designed for them to get there. However, if Memphis can beat Portland and San Antonio, they've already got 2 wins. To get a 3rd win and force New Orleans to go 7-1 in order to take that playoff spot away, they would have to lose the head-up match against New Orleans, which that game will probably decide which one of these 2 makes it. And then they would have to lose to Oklahoma City. I think the rest of their games they probably get beat, but they have 4 opportunities to win 3 games and probably shut New Orleans out of this deal unless they run the table and go 8-0. So it's a long road for the Pelicans. I think they're the better team. I mean, Tony, one of your favorite players coming back for Memphis and Justice Winslow, or maybe that was Joe's guy because he was a former Miami Heat. Exactly. But Justice Winslow's going to play a little bit for Memphis here. I like New Orleans too, but boy, people need to realize what a long road it is for them to cash that ticket, for them to wind up in the 8th seed. As far as the East goes, I looked a little more at Toronto, Jared. I mean, Marc Gasol. We talked about your Jokic for the Nuggets, and how he had that massive weight loss. Marc Gasol has had the same thing. If Marc Gasol is ready to play, Toronto, boy, they're as formidable, and they've got the experience from last season in close games, in tight games. I know they don't have Kawhi. It's a huge difference maker.
Yeah.
But still, Toronto could be trouble. And Boston, guys, boy, if only there was a center on this team. And Tony, I know you referred to it during the season, during our regular shows, that you just can't play Boston to win the title because there's no big man there. They're going to have to find something. Boy, their surrounding parts are good, and they're all healthy again. For Indiana, Kevin Pritchard and Nate McMillan both came out and said they expect their team to be more than ready to go here.
I agree.
We don't have word on Oladipo yet, but if we get word on Oladipo, hey, Malcolm Brogdon's going to clear the coronavirus quarantine period. He's going to be okay. And then we're going to be ready to go. Victor ramped it up on June 18th. We really haven't got any serious word on whether or not he's going to play, but they could be a thorn in somebody's side, in anybody's side, if you're looking for real long shots here. And you know what? If you get to the conference championship, you could hedge your way out of it maybe if you have Indiana. You don't like the matchup at that point. So there's certain threats out there, but I think Toronto makes for a good one. Miami's got Iguodala defending on the wing now. Iguodala's defensive ability helps them out some. I know we hate the fact that they're not going to play at home in this thing. They've been so good at home. To your point, Jared, long-winded answer. There's a lot of options other than Milwaukee.
We got plenty of time to fill, Rob. And actually, I'm glad that you brought up Indiana. That was not one of the ones that I mentioned in my long-winded question. Indiana's got a bottom 4 schedule in terms of the easiness, so it's an easier schedule in terms of the winning percentages against, and they're pretty much, I would say, as long as they go about 500, based on the other teams around them, Philly might be able to jump them, but let's just say they stay in that 4-5 game, and they get the first real crack at Milwaukee, because I think it's pretty safe to say that they're going to, make it to the second round, the Bucks. So the first real crack at the Bucks, is going to be that semifinal round. Pacers, Heat, let's say it stays the way it is now. Which team do you give a better edge to upend the Bucks? I mean, we just made a very compelling case for both. Are you leaning either way? Because if it is the Pacers, goodness gracious, you get that 29-1 into the East final, and you've got options galore to hedge out.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I know we all hate the Bucks.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick between Pacers and Heat, I would probably go with Bam protecting the middle down there.
Okay.
I like the Heat, but I do like what the Pacers present. And just really quick, what Rob was talking about with Memphis looking at their schedule, they play a lot of good perimeter defending teams.
Okay.
Indiana's one of them. They get Brogdon back. Another one, OKC. They have Shai. They have CP3. The only chances I think they have to win are those first couple of games where they have San Antonio, Portland, and Utah. Other than that, I don't see them winning the game. And on this East Coast, dodge Milwaukee. I mean, there's a lot of players who had chances to get healthy. You have Fred VanVleet for the Raptors who had a chance to get healthy. He had a nagging injury. I think Jaylen Brown had an injury for the Celtics. Giannis had an injury too, though. He had a sprained left knee. So it gives him time as well. But if I had to pick teams, I mean, I like the Raptors and I like the Celtics. I like the other people, but I don't really think they'd take it that far. I'll probably pick between the Celtics and the Raptors.
The Bucks were a little banged up before the break there. I think one of the Lopez twins were out. I know Middleton had an injury. Giannis was a little banged up over the last month or two before we got close to the restart of the pause. So it is interesting to kind of see, Tony, the injuries and who is really motivated to come back. And that's why I agree with Rob's take on what we heard coming out of the Pacers camp. That's what I want to hear if I'm betting on a team at this stage. Without us being able to watch, all we have are these, rhetorics and these little strands of information. Indiana does seem like a team that's very motivated to be back in this bubble, unlike some of the other teams that we've heard from.
Yeah, I think everyone that's tossed in there, be it fact, be it opinion, has made great points in this second season of the NBA tip-off show. And I think this isn't so much about the Pacers. Listen, the Pacers-Bucks, you talked about that matchup. The Pacers as good as they can be, both defensively and if Victor's healthy, offensively. I said last week that I thought that Indiana needed only to improve offensively a small percentage to be a contender in the East, right? I think they have the matchup against the Bucks is a tough matchup for them. I think, and I don't know. Just throw some stuff at me, you guys that don't have dementia like me. And that is, if the last time Indiana played the Bucks, I think that the Greek Freak was he cruised. I think he scored like 30. I thought he had 15 rebounds.
The Pacers won that game.
I think he was
though.
short.
The Pacers won. The last time they faced each other was, I believe, it was on February 12th. Pacers won 118-111. It was in Indiana. And that's another thing I think we definitely need to mention. There are a couple of teams in the Eastern Conference. The Pacers really are the first one that comes to mind. I would put the Sixers in this category as well. The difference between home and road is absolutely glaring. And where do we draw the line? Where do we bridge the gap with the neutral court in terms of a positive or negative outcome for some of these teams that are really good at home and really bad away? Are we looking at the neutral court as a road site where it'd be a negative for the Sixers and the Pacers, or is it just a flatliner? Rob, I'll start with you. Where are we handicapping neutral court in all of this?
Yeah, you know what, Jared? That's why we see these games, 11 of them, that were lined by the Superbook at 3 points or less. Because no longer can you use home road power ratings to establish a line. You've got to use neutral power ratings.
Very rare in the NBA, too. I mean, when do we ever talk about that in the NBA?
It brings the odds makers' job to making these games closer. I don't know that the final results of these games are going to be closer. You may get some real blowouts in 1-point games, 3-point games, because somebody's ready, somebody's not used to the rim, somebody's not. There's a whole lot of variables here. I think Miami was tremendous at home.
Yeah, it's another
How they'll
team.
react on a neutral, we don't know. Like you guys said, Philly and Indiana as well. Couple of more points here. One key injury that we didn't mention, Ski, you'll like this one, because Kemba Walker and that knee was problematic for Boston for quite a bit of the season. And Kemba Walker right now is back. And Danny Ainge, to the point of Indiana, right, Jared, where we said that Kevin Pritchard and Nate McMillan think their team's ready to go. Danny Ainge said the same thing about Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker. He figures those two guys to have a great close to the season.
Great point.
Kemba Walker is a game winner, shot maker. I take him on my side any day. Of course, I'm partial to the UConn Huskies anyway. But, when you're looking for those guys at the end of games to make shots, Kemba's a big one to have on your side healthy. Looks like all those guys are going to be ready to go. Boy, it's an interesting free-for-all in that East. I think we could make real good cases for a lot of teams outside the Bucks. And with the Bucks, guys, it comes down to, everybody's going to try and shut off the lane so Giannis can't drive. Can the three-point guys make three-point shots? And Eric Bledsoe has been a disaster in the playoffs. If Eric Bledsoe can come through, that, DiVincenzo, they've got guys. We've seen it when Giannis is out of the lineup. They still score 130. So we'll see how they react in playoffs.
Ski home road, man. What are we looking at here? I mean, I asked a bookmaker, an East Coast FanDuel guy, about this today, and he was kind of hat in hand, like, listen, we're going to be at a disadvantage too early on. To me, that leads me to believe there might be some edge for some of these games early on if we can figure out a way to put a handle on what the neutral court's going to mean. How are you handicapping this neutral site bubble?
It's not say all be all, but I do take it into account. Like, I want to avoid most of those teams that are just playing good at home and poor on the road as much as I can. That's why I say, like, I like the Celtics and the Raptors a little bit more than those other two teams, just because I know how they play at home rather than the road. So I take it into account. I have to take it more game by game. But I did want to say the one team that we didn't hear mentioned very much at all, the Sixers. Don't trust him.
You're not. I remember we had this debate last time. I mean, the only reason I bet this number is because I was getting a number that I know I'm never going to see again, which was 14-1 to win the East, which I thought was almost too good of a number to pass up. I agree. If I was betting it at 9-1, I would not have bet that number. Tony, I'll give you the other side, man. Is there any rebuttal for the Sixers to being a team with Ben Simmons fully healthy, with maybe Shake Milton entering at that point guard spot? We did discuss the defensive dynamic being a plus. If they move Simmons to the front court and they let him defend a bigger player, it will free up that backcourt a little bit, and with Shake playing the point. What's your take on the Sixers as we head into this restart?
Well, that's where the Sixers have, if they want to throw a wrench into the well-oiled gears of Orlando for this beautiful second half start. Again, I mentioned that it's Simmons and what they can do defensively, what they can do defensively. Offensively, I still think offensively, I'm just, Simmons is. I've mentioned this. I know he's not a rookie. He shouldn't be considered green, but I still think that I don't think he's ever going to be Magic Johnson, not just because Magic learned to shoot or found ways to score. Simmons can find ways to score against the right teams, and I think they're live as any dog, especially in the right matchup. That where you just mentioned moving Simmons front court to back court, playing a pseudo zone with Simmons, basically having the ability to not only secure and guard the paint, but do some perimeter with his size and length, being able to bother some guys from the perimeter. I mean, that's we mentioned that already. Bradley, listen, you don't think that Bradley is important to perimeter defense? It is over the top. In my charts, it is crazy what they miss on the perimeter with that.
It's funny.
The Lakers. Now, I know I'm jumping.
No. You're good. We'll tie the ball on the Sixers really quick. So we did see this matchup already a couple years ago. Granted, it was different teams for both sides, but let's say the standings play out the way that they are currently situated, Rob. It would be 3-6, Boston, Philly. We did see Boston dominate that series 2 years ago. That was when Boston, of course, made it to the East Finals. What would be your take there on a tough matchup for the Sixers going up against a really deep, really talented Celtics squad in the first round of a best-of-7?
Yeah, it's interesting. You'll get Al Horford on the other side this time. Al Horford was a Sixers nemesis, right, when he played for Boston. So having Al Horford healthy on the Sixers side this time could be their problems offensively were so well documented, so overly documented during the season. You wonder if they can overcome being a team that plays 4-on-5 offensively. But on the other side of the floor, as you and Tony both mentioned, they're not a good defensive team. They're an elite defensive team. When they want to be, they'll hold you to 20 points or less in any given quarter when motivated. So for Ben, it's got to be an open floor game because he's not going to shoot on the offensive end. I think Shake Milton, I like him, a good player. And how about this, guys? How about Tobias
Yeah, that's
Harris
another name.
Going on a morning show a few days ago and saying, man, we had no chemistry to start the season. But now we've got chemistry. Philly with chemistry could be extremely dangerous when you hear a statement like that. And a guy that, publicly says it. I mean, so the team is cool. He said, the whole team is cool with it now. So, they have to be put under consideration. I think man for man, size-wise, defensively, as much as I love Brad Stevens, Philly's the better defensive team. Boston's going to have to run. That plays into Philadelphia's hands because then Ben can run. And most objections you will hear, and I'm right outside of Philadelphia, guys, are with the coach, Brett Brown. And most of the other objections are either, Ben won't shoot a three or Brett Brown stinks as a coach in an X's and O's match in the last 10 seconds, he'll lose. So whether that's true or not, in these playoffs, they came awfully close last year, right? Kawhi had to rattle one in at the end to defeat this team. So there's certainly a potential conference.
Ski, I'll give you the last word on the Sixers. I know you're licking your chops down there on Brett Brown.
Oh yeah, Rob already said it, so I'm not gonna go too far into it. But he's playing checkers. Everybody else playing chess, so I'm I'm not buying the Sixers. I think coaches are very important in the playoffs, and I think Ben Simmons, he's going to continue to struggle as long as he can't shoot. When it gets to the end of the game, it's going to slow down. He's not going to be valuable to his team. He's going to be hurting his team. So he's not good at shooting free throws. Like I just can't see it happening. I'll be taking the Celtics if they were to play versus the Sixers. Anybody but the Sixers, pretty
It's
much.
fair. All right, we'll wrap it up with a little fun. Speaking of Ski's comment about the coaches in the playoffs, let's ask final question before we go. Best coach. Let's say the 16 is the 16 that we have now with no crazy fluctuations. We'll throw Memphis in there just to say that they're the favorite. Of those 16 teams that are going to compete for the playoffs, and if you want to throw Portland, if you want to throw the Pelicans in there, I can't fault you. Best coach remaining in the NBA right now, or at least the best playoff-ready coach in terms of, all right, this guy is most ready to take his team from point A, starting the playoffs, to point B, raising the Larry O'Brien trophy. Tony, I'll start with you. Best postseason coach remaining in the field. Go.
Best postseason.
Yeah. The coach that's best prepared to take his team to the finals that's left in the field.
Nick Nurse. How about that?
Rob?
Yeah.
I thought for sure Tony was going to say Quinn Snyder.
Now only if you give Quinn some Nike and cocaine to give away to the players.
There you go. Quinn looks like he's ready to rock, man. He's got the slick back hair. He's ready to roll.
I mean, there's great coaches out there, guys, right? An underrated one that won't be in any conference final or won't make a championship but could make a lot of noise as far as covering point spreads is concerned is Rick Carlisle. What Rick Carlisle has done in Dallas, I think he's just a very good postseason coach, so even keel. But I think, for me, if it's not Nick Nurse, as Tony mentioned, it would have to be Doc Rivers, right? I mean, I have to put Doc Rivers head and shoulders above all these guys. And think that the Clippers certainly benefit by having him at the helm.
Ski, what do you got for me?
I'm not a big Doc Rivers guy. I don't know what it is. I'm just not really a Doc Rivers guy. A lot of people love Doc Rivers. It's just, I don't know, not me. I like Nick Nurse. I think he's the best. And I kind of like, I'd have to go Nick Nurse for Tony.
Wow. That might be that. We're going to have to record this. I am recording this, but we're going to have to bookmark this. First time that these two have linked up on something like that. I'm glad we did get one good question in the chat. Joe Chris asked if he should bet now. Spreads are out. My personal opinion, I think you're going to see a lot of volatility between now and when the closing line actually happens. So if you do feel like you have an edge on a guy who might be playing, who might opt out, I think there might be some value to be had. I'll go around the room one more time before we sign off. Tony, are you betting spreads now, today, knowing what we know?
Well, the point was made already. If you look at these opening numbers right now, for any book that has a current PS for all games, all 8 games that we're going to play, you're going to find that the back-to-backs that are going to take place in this series, in this second season, not going to make any difference. There's some teams it's just not going to make a difference to, and there'll be teams that will just lay down and die and act like, well, but he had a little bit of the Rona, and we still had to sit him. So here's the damn deal on that. What was the question again?
Are you betting spreads now?
I'm just kidding you. No, absolutely. I mean, the spread doesn't even come into play in a lot of these games. If you're going to do percentages, if it's 3 or less in the NBA, guess what, guys? And that's a very small percent. Pick the winner, and you're going to win. That's
Rob,
fine.
You laying any numbers right now?
Yeah, I haven't yet, Jared, just because I'm one of those guys that just needs – as soon as I find a small piece of information, I'll react immediately. Right now, I just don't think you have it. I do stick to the theory, though, that we're going to see games end so far from the closing line. Yep. You're going to get games that close at 1.5 that are won by 20 points, and you're going to say, damn, why didn't I have that side? Because I don't think they're going to be as close as the numbers are. The odds makers are in a pickle. They have to set them this way, which, like you said earlier, Jared, it gives an advantage to us on the other side. But I just have to see something a little more clear. My best advice would be, if you see something that you like, bet it immediately. Don't sit around till the whole world knows. Information spreads so quick nowadays that by the time you react to it, your number's long gone. And these games, on information, probably will get pounded, almost the way a preseason football game would get pounded when you find people aren't going to play. So that would probably be the best advice.
Surprising edge on some preseason football games too, which we'll get to, I'm sure, on another podcast. Ski, you laying anything now? What's the betting strategy for you with these numbers as we kind of sift our way through the information a little bit?
As far as like single games, I kind of want to wait a little bit. I mean, I do agree with Rob with the point that I don't think these games are going to be that close. So if you like the underdog, I would probably take more of a money line because they'll just probably win outright. But at the same time, we're seeing like a couple players be positive for coronavirus. We don't know from now until then what player might be missing from what team. So I just want to wait a little bit more on that for the game by game. But futures I like.
I know.
One future, I know you know, Tony. You have all the sources all over the world.
I know.
Tony already knows. Tony already knows where these guys are eating their Mickey Mouse pancakes, which dining room, and I think we're gonna hear some Chris Paul anonymous hotline tips he's calling because James Harden's wearing his sandals in the pool or something along those lines. I'm just waiting for the day that we get the Chris Paul anonymous hotline tip. All right, NBA tip-off show. These guys have been great. You know them very well. I'm the new guy here. Rob Vino, Ski Prophet, Tony Finn, legends of WagerTalk basketball. Tony's got to play already, so go to his profile. Go check out Tony's play for the NBA, and we'll be back next Monday, hopefully by next week. Again, every week it seems like we have another piece of information to share with you and another interesting little nugget. Tony, I see you're waving your finger. What do you got for me, bro? Anything? Or is that?
Oh no, I won't. No, give me a few minutes. I have not.
Fair enough.
I have the play. I have the play. It's in the envelope sealed, and I'm gonna hand it off to LeBron.
And the Oscar goes too.
Soon. Yes. Hey, and don't forget the world of sports according to Tony Garp Finn. Coming up next.
Beautiful. I think we've got a KBO show coming up soon with Koken and McInnes. Everyone's doing a great job. I'm loving this. I'm loving this afternoon lineup we've got now. And until next time here on the NBA Tip-Off Show, I'm Jared Smith. Enjoy. Don't forget to go to WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com. Get all your picks, get all your analysis, get all your trends, the whole 9 yards. Trying to make you some money any way we can. See you next week.
It's a damn honor to be on the show with you guys.
Pelicans.